Back to another RUN BSD technology video. Today we are going to continue the video series doing a deep dive into an OpenBSD install. So what I'm going to do, this will be the last video before I go switch to screencasting from the laptop, is we're going to set up screencasting, we're going to set up hardware acceleration and the window manager and all the necessary little tweaks we need to do for a desktop system. So first, what I'm going to start off with is I'm going to, let's see, I guess I could do, we'll start with adding my user to the staff login class. So if I can type properly. So it's do as user mod minus L staff and then the name of the user, a super secret password. And then we want to set up the AP. Oh, you know, actually, I'm not going to bother setting up the APM daemon. We're going to do power setup. So what we'll do is we'll install a program that was written by Soline, an OpenBSD developer, called OpenBSD frequency utils. So do as package add git. So we'll install git. And I believe this is also, this program is in packages, but I'm going to just follow this guide because I like git cloning things. It's fun to me. So, what I always do is when I have Git projects in any installation, I just make a directory called .optional. I don't know why, it's just something that, I don't know, I got into doing a while back. So okay, and then we're gonna git clone https tilde git.org /Soline OpenBSD frequency utils, and install that. And just real quick, I didn't mention why I added my user to the staff login class. Really quick, we'll just take a look at, you can look at the different login classes in etc login.conf, and these will go into effect the next time I log in. So what you can do is you can look at the default values right here. So this is going to be your ulimit and your umask and all your different limits for max process size and the data size cur. Those are just all the limits for you know, memory stack and stuff like that. So they are pretty conservative for a default install. So what you can do for a desktop install, you can add your user to the staff login class and it'll give you a little bit higher values right there. Okay, and then so what we're going to do next is we'll cd OpenBSD frequency utils make. Okay, and then do as make install. Okay, RC control. Let's see, RC control ls on rep apmd. I'm sorry, apmd and do as RC control set apmd flags minus L. That's going to be for lower power usage. It's going to help with see what this program does is it helps regulate the heat in your OpenBSD install. So basically, OpenBSD 7.1 was released with a change that will set the CPU to max speed when plugged into the wall. This brings better performance and entirely let the CPU and mainboard do the frequency throttling. However, for some machines, it doesn't throttle well. So on idle, it just the machine will get a lot hotter than a Linux installation, and you'll have increased fan. Now, the fan noise doesn't bother me so much, but the heat does. And I like to keep the heat generally in the 50s. I don't like to go up into the 60s and 70s. That's just way too hot. And I've seen on a heavy load without this setting, I've seen, you know, when I was doing some stuff with downloading a huge file through Chromium browser, I was hitting the 70s. So that's way too high. So what it's going to do is this is going to help regulate the heat by regulating the CPU frequencies. So, and then we're going to go and do as RC control restart APMD. And I'll put a link in the description for everything that I'm doing here, like this guide on dataswamp.org for Selene. Okay, so do as RC control enable OBSD frequency utils, frequency D. Do as start. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I have a setting for it that you can set up here. Just 1 second. Okay. Well, let's see. Oh, my bad. Perfect. Okay. And what we'll do is we're going to, let's see, did that. Let's enable soft dependencies for faster disk I/O read-write speeds. Now be very careful when editing this file. Maybe one of these days I'll make a video about what happens when you do an error with a file like this and your install won't boot. You can fix it from the install medium, and maybe one of these days I'll make a video showing you how to do that. Let's see here. All right. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and I will add softdep to everything. I just usually do it after the read-write. Don't do it like that. And then what I'll also do in probably in the next video is I'm going to set up a RAM disk using the memory file system that's built into OpenBSD. We'll set it at 500 megabytes because I got 8 gigabytes of RAM on here. And I'll use that to for Chromium to do local caching to RAM, so that helps with the SSD wear and tear, because this is running off an SSD. And VAR can be soft dep. So we'll enable soft deps on everything. Okay. Just double click. Just let me look real quick. If you make a mistake and there's an error in here, then you have to boot it up and install installation medium to fix it. So just make sure there's no spelling errors. Everything looks good. Okay. Okay, so we enabled soft deps. We added the user to the staff login class. We installed and set up OpenBSD frequency daemon. Let's see what else needs to be done. Let's take a look at our RC. So you want to look at your settings in the rc.conf.local. Now, most of all your system settings are going to be in the .etc or in the /etc folder. And you always want to edit rcconf.local, not rcconf. Okay, it looks like we got package scripts, OpenBSD frequency utils. It's interesting the APMD. I did set APMD, didn't I? That's strange. grab APMD. So RC control, check APMD field. Let's set up APMD. So what we'll do is we'll manually, I don't know why that didn't turn on. We'll manually set it on. So RC control, set APMD flags minus L. Oh, duh. There we go. And do as RC control get APMD. There we go. And okay, so then we can do this. Okay, so we have our APMD flag set to -L, package scripts to OpenBSD frequency utils. All right, cool. And then what we'll do is man OpenBSD frequency. We're still working on this frequency utils thing. Just bear with me. Freq D. Okay. Balance user profile. So we're gonna do. So -T is. Do I want capital T? Times mostly max temperature. Okay. -T max temperature. So -M minimum frequency. Okay, so what we'll do is do as RC control set OBSD frequency D flags. I think I'm doing this right. Okay, we're gonna set it to -T 55 plugged in 50 on battery. So basically what that is so maximum temperature will be set to 55 degrees Celsius when it is plugged in, and 65 degrees Celsius when it's on, or sorry, 50 degrees Celsius when it's on battery. So we'll just do 55, 50. So that'll help keep everything really cool. There's gonna be a little bit of a performance hit, but I'd rather the laptop stay cool than overheat. And so basically a backdrop of this video is I had set all this up this way. It's a lot easier when you're not recording it because you can just kind of dote along and figure it out. But once I had everything up and running and I did it just exactly like this, it ran perfectly fine. It was nice and usable and responsive, and I was able to watch videos, do stuff on the internet, be on social media. Everything in the system was running just fine. It wasn't like sluggish or anything. So we'll just set it up like that. Okay, do as RC control restart. OBSD frequency D. Okay, and we're gonna less etc rc.conf.local. Okay, perfect. All right, now when it comes to hardware acceleration, I have moved away on this machine. I've moved away from using the Intel driver. I've actually, and I noticed that using them, because I got this idea from THFR, Thomas Frohwein. He works on the FNAFI, the game project for OpenBSD, and maintains several game ports. And he suggested that the mode setting driver is often reported to work just as good as the Intel driver, sometimes even better. So by default, OpenBSD uses the mode setting driver. So the only thing that you need to do on top of using the mode setting driver is we're going to install PyCom, and then we'll set up PyCom to work a certain way. Now this command, I'm just going to run it right now just for example, but I'll put this command in my window manager config file, so it starts up this command right at startup. So pycom -- backend glx -- vsync. -f is just the fade in, fade out. You don't have to use -f. That's just for the fade in, fade out effects. And the -b is put it as a background process. There we go. So now we should have full hardware acceleration. And what we'll go ahead and do is we'll go ahead and we can test it out with Chromium. So let's install Chromium. And also what I want to do, like I said, do with Chromium is do local disk caching to a RAM disk, or to the memory file system, like a 500 megabyte RAM partition. So we'll do as package add Chromium, and this will take a second, so I'll just fast forward through all this. Okay, and that is finished installing. Okay, let's do Chromium. And so you put an ampersand after a program, that'll put it into the background process, but it'll still, oh, my bad. It'll still give you, like you see right there, output on the terminal. So that's really bright. So let's look up an NVIDIA instance. First off, let's go to DuckDuckGo. We'll go to my favorite NVIDIA systems. That's vids.puffian.us. All right, so already we have good performance with the web browser. Let me pause the music, and let's just do Mental Outlaw and see. Actually, I do want to. Mental Outlaw would be great, but I'd rather have something that has a lot of motion, so we can see if there's screen tearing or not. Let's see. I guess we could just pick a random Linus Tech Tips video. It's not a big deal.
The #1 co-host, as voted by you, the viewers of America.
I feel like I haven't been on TalkLink in like 2.5 years.
Well, that's because we haven't done it in like 2.5 years.
All right, let's get into it.
But then we started doing it again. Guess what we're talking about today, James?
AI-generated art.
See, this is why I love you on TalkLink. You just want to cut right to the point.
Yeah.
So right away we have pretty good
information density.
pretty
Let's
good
go.
video performance right out the gate.
Just want to know how you're doing.
See, one of the great things about OpenBSD is that
The reason we're here is
that it's supposed to be ready to go out the box. You're not supposed to have to do too much configuration. You can do a little bit, but this shouldn't be like a lot. You know, it shouldn't be something that takes you a week to flesh out. Yeah, you can see we got some good. The only thing I don't like about this video is they're not really moving around a lot, and it's how I can test screen tearing. But you can see it's definitely working good, and we haven't even re-logged in to get into the staff logging class. So that's a good example, just showing that that's working, and you can see that it's responsive. You know, it's not sluggish or anything. So already we're off to a good start. So we're going to close that out. Okay, clear. Can't type. Okay, so we have all that set up. Let me mount my, I have an external hard drive plugged in that I keep all my backups of all my dot files and everything that I need for my system. So the window manager that I'm going to set up is my favorite window manager, and it might not be your favorite window manager, but it's what I like to use, and it works for me. And it's called the Storefez or Starfish window manager. And all it is just it's a fork of Rat Poison. Rat Poison has been kind of in maintenance mode. It hasn't been worked on for many years. So an OpenBSD developer named JCS, he forked Rat Poison and cleaned it up a bit, and he does actively maintain it. And it is available in the repositories. So for my basic window manager setup, we're going to have Storefez, spelled just like that. And then I'm going to use Fey for backgrounds. D-menu, I like to use D-menu. I never really got into Rofi. I've always been a D-menu guy. Tmux is already set up. I like Clementine for music. We already have Chromium installed. What else is important? Just for the demonstration. I'll probably install more stuff later, but just for demonstration. Of course, I like MPV and FMmpeg for video. And oh yeah, we're going to need FMmpeg for screencasting. The audio is going to be handled through OpenBSD's native utilities, so I wouldn't worry about that right now. And let's see what else. We can turn my music back on. So FMmpeg, Storefez. We already have the Sakura terminal installed, and let's see what else. I guess also, yeah, I like Thuner for viewing files as a file manager. And last but not least, we'll probably wait on the well, let's see, I could do. Let's just go with that for now. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mount. Let's see. First off, let's see what the drives are labeled. So we do dmessage, make this a little bigger. And of course, I am not crazy about using FV window manager. It's just what we got, or we can use CWM, but I just want to get right to business on this. Here we go. Dmessage rep SD. And I have a better version of this command. I just don't have it memorized right now. So we want this one right here, the Seagate external drive. So it is on SD3. So do as mount. Well, first what I want to do is I like to do this personally. What I'll do is do as chown glitch mount, so I can have read-write permissions on mount. Okay, and then do as mount dev sd3, dev r sd3c. So in OpenBSD, when you're mounting something, it's always going to be r sd number C. Generally, C just represents the root directory. Unless you have other directories, then it'd be like rsd2a. Oh, whoops. Once again, I completely hate doing this. I can't wait until I get back into Storefez. Alright. So do as mount rsd3c. Oh, you know, that's the raw character device. I'm sorry. Do as mount dev sd3c to mount. There we go. CD mount. Oh, actually, I think I have, let me see, CD mount ls minus al. Alright, we're gonna have to make this smaller. Actually, we're gonna make everything bigger. Maximize. There we go. So I can see what's going on here. Control Shift plus. The fact that it makes the window draw out of screen just drives me nuts. I cannot wait to get this set up. Okay, so first off, what I can do is go into cd.opt OpenBSD configs ls cd etc ls. Okay, so these are my saved configs from the past. I have doas.conf set up, boot.conf. Yeah, let's see. There's this, you can do this bootconf and etc. and it just sets timeout to 1. So it just makes your computer boot a little faster. But I don't really have a need for it to pause for too long. So let's do that. We're gonna do as cp boot.conf to etc. There we go. And let's see here. Less rcconf.local. So what I want is these. Well, eventually, what I'll do is I'll set resolve D flags to no to set up local unbound, but we'll wait until that time. So right now, what I'll do, this is my older setup, but I do like using that flag for audio. Let's see here. Okay. Q. Okay, so we're gonna have to cat it so I can copy it, because it disappears off the screen when I press escape. There we go. So do as rc control set sound IO daemon flags minus R 48,000 minus Z 400 minus E S24 LE 4S LSB. I might change that in the future, but we'll just do that for now. So this is going to set up monitor. So when I use FMmpeg, it's going to monitor any sounds that are being played. So when I do screencasting, if I have like music playing in the background or my voice, even though this device right now doesn't have a microphone input, and I don't really have a proper microphone, so in the future I might do something USB based. But until then, this is how you set up monitoring. Minus S mon. Okay, so then I need to put a space on this. Oh, set SNI's flags. Okay, I'm dumb. Hold on. Okay. Oh, there we go. All right. Set sound IO daemon flags minus R 4800 minus Z 400 blah blah play monitor minus S monitor. There you go. And we can reset sound IO. Okay, and then what we want to do is enable. We're going to enable sound recording for the screencasting. And there is a simple command you have to do because by default, audio recording is disabled for privacy reasons. So let me clear the screen here. And then we'll make this smaller. Just like this. Put this in the corner, or not do that. If you see me struggling with this thing, it's not something I normally use. There we go. Okay, so do as syscontrol. We're going to use the syscontrol command. Kern.audio.record equals 1. Okay. Echo kern.audio.record equals 1 into etc. syscontrol.conf. Oh, as of course, wrong permission. There we go. Cannot create, permission denied. Interesting. Not great. So we'll just have to jump into root and do this. Echo kern.audio.record equals 1 dash dash into etc. syscontrol.conf. Perfect. And we can just double check, make sure that that went properly. Perfect. That will enable audio recording the next time I log in. It won't be in effect till I log in, but we're just getting it all set up. Okay. Thank you. All right, so we'll exit, and let's just double check to see how this is going. Oh, perfect. This is all ready. All right, let's just exit out of this. We'll just make this big. Perfect. Okay. And then we'll copy the necessary files from mount. I think I have something called new install. ls-al. Okay, so we'll just start copying all this over. I already have a storefez config, .profile, .tmux.conf. So what I'll need to do, I mean, most of my stuff is on my Git repo, hasn't really been changed that much. It's pretty much the same. But probably before I release this video, I'll go ahead and create a new, or I'll update my Git repo or create a new one. I haven't used it in so long. Hopefully I still remember the password. But okay, so let's copy this stuff over. And this video, if it's taking too long, I'll probably just put it into two parts. So do as cp.x defaults to. So if you ever want to copy anything to the home directory, just do a tilde. But since do a tilde or a tilde / like that. So cp .next. So the .nextrc is going to be my vi config. So I can just show you that. The only reason I want to use cat right now is I don't want the screen to just blank out. So I just set set number and set verbose show mode. Yes, I know less is better than cat, but also cat doesn't completely blank out the screen. cp.profile, cp.tmux.conf. I'm going to do a video on configuring Tmux. I could just show you really quick my my tmux.conf right here. Pretty simple. I just have it set up, and then my default shell is user local bin fish. Good reminder to set up my fish shell. Yes, I am a big fish shell user because it has the most fantastic auto completion. And I can't type my password right now for some reason. I'm trying to type it too fast. There we go. It is like almost, I don't know, like 3 in the morning right now. I was gonna make this video sooner, but I got a bunch of chores done and made crock pot food to cook overnight, and I'm like, oh, I need to get this video done. Okay. All right, and so we have that set up. Let's see, ls minus al. Let's see, so cp minus capital RFV is my go-to for copying folders, and then we'll put that in the .config for Clementine. There we go. Perfect. And we'll cp minus. Oh, first let's copy our X session into home directory, and then we can take a look at our X session right here. I will use less for that. Okay, so this is going to be setting up my RAM disk for Chromium. So I will save that for the next video. So for now, what we'll do, vi X session, and now X session controls what you're going to be. So when the pass off goes from XenoDM, the XDM login session, what's it called again? It's the login manager. It will look at the .xsession file. So this is my .xsession file. I also just start my wallpaper, do a random wallpaper, and I have a command to change wallpapers in my window manager. And then at the end, I start up storefez. So what we're going to do is we're just going to comment these out because I don't have the memory file system set up yet. All right. Very good. And let's see, we're going to go back to ls minus al. So then we'll copy over. I'll do music and downloads later. We're just going to do the stuff that's important for the ricing and setting up of the desktop environment, or window manager, the desktop. So let's see, we'll do storefez to .config. Perfect. My screencast program, or script, sorry, will go to there. Okay. cp minus rfv sakura to .config. Perfect. See, music setup, Chromium. Okay, yeah. So that is a little bit more. I just saved my Chromium so that I can go back to where I left off with all the all the settings I had for it. I don't need to really make a video about how to set up Chromium and set up dark mode and uBlock origin and all that stuff. It's pretty self-explanatory. So this will take a second, so I'll fast forward through all this. Okay, and let's double check to see if that worked properly. I don't know if I'm shooting myself in the foot here. Oh yeah, I'll never learn. It's Chrome, and there we go. Perfect. We have Chromium exactly the way I had it set up on my last machine, with my bookmarks and logged in to my account. Perfect. So we'll exit out of there. And let's see. That's my SAL. So what I also want to do, I did profile.xsession. Oh yeah, cp minus my wall2, my wallpapers. Okay. And let's see here. And music, soccer, screencast, Orphez. Okay, perfect. And then what I'll also do is CP minus RFV CD. Where am I at? Print working directory. Oh, new install. CD dot dot. And then CP minus RFV. I'm gonna copy over a .themes folder to, this is my GTK themes. So we'll also need LX appearance. Now, this is a GTK theme I always carry around. I made it a long time ago. I should probably set up OMOX and create a new GTK theme, but I just haven't gotten around to it. But it's okay, it still works. So in order to enable GTK theming, I always use a program called LX Appearance. Super simple, super easy. I don't really care about cute theming. You have to use something called Cavantium, and I've tried to port it before, and it did not want to build, so I don't know what I was doing wrong. Okay, so we got all that set up, and let's see. Icons is not important, fonts, not important. So I think I should be good to go. Let's give this a whirl, huh? If something looks goofy, there's always something that I always forget, no matter what. So if something looks a little goofy when I first boot into this, that's probably, I probably just forgot something. Okay. Perfect. I just, we don't have, looks like we don't have, what's it called? Transparency setup. Select colors. Okay, understandable. We'll just do, we'll do 87. All right. So to continue, I have gone ahead and finished up most of the necessary performance tweaks for the system, and I've made a couple changes to get a little bit of a better performance out of the machine, especially because when I used to really daily drive OpenBSD on this laptop, there was a certain performance that I got it to that I kind of like use that as a standard, and I expect that out of this machine. So I have arrived. So a couple changes that I made. First off, let's take a look at our rc.conf.local. Let me just turn that down just a tad. My chair is loud. Let's just do. So you can see here, I set the OpenBSD freak D flags. It's the OpenBSD frequency daemon written by Celine, and it's a fantastic piece of software. It really makes my life easier using OpenBSD. I just can't believe how useful it is. But I did bump the numbers from 55 or 50 and 55. I bumped them up. So this number right here is 65 is when it's on charger. So when it gets to 65 degrees Celsius or higher, then it will adjust the CPU frequency and the fan speed to keep it at that temperature. And the 60 is on battery, so I bumped it up a little bit because it just was it was adjusting the frequency just a little too low to where I was getting not a very good performance playing streaming video on Chromium, and Chromium was kind of sluggish. And that 6560 is perfect because I talked to people online, and they said as long as the CPU is staying under 70 degrees, it's perfectly fine. Once it starts going over 70 degrees Celsius, 70 to 80, that's way too hot. So 65, 60 is great because this is, as I said, this is a 9-year-old laptop. It's not the newest thing on the block. And we're getting good performance, and it doesn't feel that hot when you feel it. I think right now, let's see here. I think right now we're running at 53 degrees, so that's not bad at all. And I set up PyCom just like I showed you. So PyCom is performing very well. This is PCMan FM, and I have a custom icon, or well, it's not custom. It's just using the Breeze icons from I believe they're the Breeze icons. Let me double check. No experience. What icon am I using here? Oh, this is Adwaita. Okay, so a nice blue Adwaita. I'm not sure which package brings it in, but one of the packages I installed brings it in. And I like the way it looks. It looks very neat. Let me just adjust the brightness just a bit here, so it's not blowing you out on your end. Whoop. I hate it when I do that. There we go. All right. And also on here we have, like you can see right here, I have picture thumbnails. That's done automatically, I believe, unless it's done by Poplar. Poplar handles the document thumbnails. Poplar is a program that is included with Events, and Events is the document viewer that I use. So you can see right here. This is a free book called Get Notes for Professionals. And then I can just go into different chapters. We can set up, let's see here. Night mode, even though it doesn't want to set up right now, because it hates me. Whenever I get to recording things just suddenly just stop wanting to work. Here we go, night mode. There we go. So you can see how this is really neat. Useful program. It's provided by the GNOME project. I always recommend it. It's called eVince, E-V-I-N-C-E. I believe this should work. Yeah, this works. Very good. So very useful, and you can see now that the transition between Windows, here's Chromium, and we can go back to the terminal emulator. You can see the transition between terminal emulator to Chromium to PCMan FM to this. Everything's really smooth, and these are all numbered out starting with zeros. So Windows key 0 brings us here, Windows key 1 brings us here, and then with Tmux, Control B C will create a new Tmux tab. And if you want my Tmux configuration, it's available in my repos that I posted with every video. I post a link to my repos, even though I haven't updated them in a while, because honestly they haven't changed much. They're really simple. They're bare bones. They're there just to kind of show you how get an idea how things can be done. And this is what you're seeing right here is in my my config.fish file for the fish shell. And let's see. Okay, so the Tmux is configured in .tmux.conf right here. So you can see it's really pretty simple. Just set out the color, set my default shell to fish. So nothing too crazy. And also, like I wanted to get into in the previous time I was recording, I set up a RAM disk for disk caching in Chromium. Now some of you might be thinking, oh well, that's really not necessary because you can just set whatever directory you want Chromium to do disk caching from the command line. There's a flag for it. And if we let's see here, if we take a look at my I'm already using a specific flag for Chromium, not that one, in my storefez config. So my storefez config right here, I exec Chromium with --js flags jitless. So what that's doing is that's disabling just in times. So it's just a security kind of a security thing, because Chrome is already running with pledge and unveil, pledge, is a sort of kernel level sandboxing that's in the source code and is compiled in. Unveil will hide the file system view so that Chrome can only communicate with just a strict set of folders. It can communicate. It can do business in the downloads folder and in the Chrome cache folder in the Chrome config folder, where it keeps all its data for like your logins and your history and your cookies and stuff like that. So Chrome is limited onto what it can see and what it can access in the file system, and that's built in on a source code level. So what I have done is I've disabled JITs, because generally JITs you only really see a performance drop when you disable JITs when you're doing in-browser video games, which is not something that I do or care about, and it's not worth the security of my system. And then also, let's see here. And then what I was leading up to with that is that CVI. So we're gonna do as vi etc fs tab. Now, if you mess this file up, your system won't boot. What you'll have to do is you'll have to boot into an installation medium and use chroot into the regular root directory, which is generally like SD0C or something, or SD1. Not C. SD1A or SD0A or SD2A, depending on how your system is set up. But C is just the overall drive. A will generally be the root partition. So you'll have to chroot into there, and then you'll have to set export term equals VT220, and then you can use something like VI right here or MG to edit the FS tab and etc. that you messed up on in case it doesn't boot. So if you ever get stuck not being able to boot because you screwed up your file system tab, your FS tab or FSTab, you can fix. You don't have to do a clean reinstall. You can fix the system. You just have to do those steps like I told you. So let's go ahead and I'll show you what's going on with file system tab, and then we'll take a look at how I'm handling this in my X session, and then we'll reboot, because I want to try something and see if it affects anything. So let's do this real quick. My super secret password. And in case you're wondering, I have a wireless keyboard plugged into this thing, or not plugged in, but that's how I'm controlling this thing, so it's not shaking the table and shaking this camera too much. I learned that from past videos where I tried to do this. And I hope I'm not off center. I did smack this thing accidentally. Okay, so now you can see what I have down here is this swap. Now I created a folder on the root directory called RAM disk, and I made the user owner over this folder. So what I wanted to show you was this. So you put this command into your etc fstab. It's swap, and RAM disk is a folder I created, which is in the root directory that's owned by the user, where I keep the RAM disk. And it's using something called MFS, which is memory file system. And you can even look up the man page. I believe there's a man page for MFS. No, there isn't. Okay. I think it's mentioned somewhere. But either way. So MFS, and then you set it for read write, no deb, no SUID. And I set it for this size right here, 300 megabytes. And also what I want to do, since I don't plan on using FNAFI, which uses mono to play video games, or like Steam games, anything ran by mono, and I don't plan on using the GameCube emulator, and those are the only programs that I'm aware of that are affected by this WX allowed flag. I'm going to remove it by using the DW command in VI. There we go, and one more time. Alright, so that will remove that section. and we'll reboot to see. We'll reboot to see if that affects anything, if that affects the web browser. Okay, so right quit. And real quick, before I reboot, I do want to show you what my X session looks like. So you can see right here what I do in the beginning of every X session. So this is the file that it reads when you log in from XenoDM. So I remove this directory in the .cache folder for Chromium. It's the Chromium cache directory. And then I remake the directory in that RAM disk folder, which is loaded onto RAM. And then I create a symlink between that folder and the folder that we deleted, because every time I reboot the computer, then that RAM disk system is lost. Or that, I'm sorry, the RAM disk folder is lost because it's in RAM. It might also do that too with suspend. I need to look into that. And yeah, and then it's also this ulimit minus SC0. That just deactivates core dumps. So no more little core dumps getting pooped everywhere for whatever reasons. Just programs will do. It's an OpenBSD thing. Programs will just core dump for whatever reason. This is for fonts, so I set my DPI to 96. And also this font that I'm using comes with D menu. That's this program right here. I do Windows key D. It's a font called Terminus, and I just set it when it gets a little bit larger. It has this really nice look to it. This sets my. You can actually set your wallpaper from the .x session, and then of course at the last command is storefs, which is the window manager, which is the rat poison fork. So we can just exit out of here. I am just not in the VI mode tonight. All right, so let's go ahead and reboot, and then we'll actually let's shut down programs first before we do that. So it's a Control Q short. There we go. 1. This one, I don't know the key command. I think it's Control Shift W, but I'm not sure. Control Shift W. There we go. Yeah, if you ever want to just close Chrome from the command line, it's Control Shift W. And if you're wondering why I'm using Chromium over Firefox, it's generally for the performance and the security advantages. I have a video, if you can go back into my videos, I have a video going all over the web browsers available in OpenBSD if you want to get down that rabbit trail of what web browsers are the best and what there is to pick from, and why, you know, sometimes using Chromium over Firefox is a little bit better in OpenBSD. All right. I'm not using my Linux or FreeBSD machine, so we don't use sudo. I need a symlink, or create an alias for sudo. So whenever I type sudo, it just means do as, because on my other machines I use sudo or sudo. All right, so let's reboot the machine. Now for the blue wall. Blue. I think it would have been much cooler if they'd have went with green, but that's just me. Oh, and by the way, speaking of current audio record, I ordered a Samsung, not Samsung, Yes, I believe it's the Q21 microphone. It is compatible with OpenBSD, and I can plug it in via the USB port since I don't have a microphone jack on here. And the next time I go to do some screencasting on this machine now, I will have a proper microphone. So no more crappy audio coming from me. I typed in the wrong password. This is the problem when you have like multiple machines. Sometimes you just start typing in passwords and things from other machines. Just out of habit, depending on whatever machine you're on the most. There we go. And I will eventually fix that. This X console automatically loads up. There's a way to disable that. Right there. There we go. Now let's, so Windows key in Home. Open up the web browser. So let's see if the web browser works since I disabled WX. Yeah, web browser works just fine. And let's test out. Now I wanted to show you the video performance, and you can also see right here. We go to LS RAM disk, so we can do RAM disk Chromium. So you can see that it is writing to the RAM disk, and we can do df-h RAM disk. So right there, 275 megabytes are available. Only 522K is being used, but it is being written to the MFS. And also with MFS, you also want to unmount it and do chmod 177 for the correct permissions for that folder, which I already did. So, and you can define the guide for this on Soline's blog, and I'll link it in the description. Now let's go back to this right here, and we'll go to NVIDIA's, and we can also actually what we can do instead of doing that, we can load the 5 tabs that I closed. So I believe it's Control-Shift-T. There we go. That loads the 5 tabs that I just had on. And here, let's just do a sample video right here. Give it a second to warm up a little bit. It's probably still relinking the kernel. Yeah, I can see the hard drive activity, but we'll wait for that relinking. Is still going on. Well, that's the one thing, that relinking of the kernel, especially on older machines, just does take a while. So when you first fire up the machine, there's a little bit, it's a little performance janky for a second. This was on YouTube. I just want something with a lot of motion in it. This is a record label that I like. They have this video where they're using a drone to fly around this like really neat fortress in Belgium. So we'll wait on that. No, that's not what I wanted. Okay. So you can see let's see here. This is Mastodon. So you can see everything is loading up pretty quickly. I don't know what it is. I'm just not getting these commands for Vimium proper tonight. Let's leave this. There we go. So this is 240p, because for whatever reason, whenever I film over here, the Wi-Fi is kind of crap over here, right here in this little area. I don't know why. If I move over like a foot, it runs a little better. But we'll move this to 720p, and then we'll make this full screen. And hopefully we can get to some drone footage. There we go. So I get to some of the flyover footage. These guys are really neat guys. They make some good music. Check them out if you're into electronic music. They make some neat stuff, especially the drum and bass kind of stuff. Young guys too. Of course, the footage. There we go. I just wanted some motion footage. There you go. So you can see that we do have full hardware acceleration. We have motion, and let's see. Odd 1. And if we do systat, you see that the temperature is being regulated at a 64 degrees. So like it's plugged in, so the max is 65, and you can see how the CPU frequency is being adjusted as the temperature fluctuates. And back to mod 2, is it mod 2? Yeah, so right here. So that's full screen. We're not overheating, but we're getting some good performance. The fan is not super loud, and there's just a little bit of hot air coming out of the bottom, but the laptop doesn't feel that hot at all. So it's very, very stable. You can fine tune and control. You can set those numbers lower if if you have a nicer CPU on your laptop. Maybe you might have a more spec'd out ThinkPad like an X1 Carbon, so you can have more options and probably get it a little cooler, but still get some good performance. This is a little older. Like I said, this is a 9-year-old laptop, so I had to raise those values a little bit to get some better performance, get some more power to the CPU. But so anybody that's dealing with the overheating issue in OpenBSD, it is fixed by using OBSD Freak D. That sounds weird. It stands for OpenBSD Frequency Daemon. So we'll escape out of this, pause it, and then we'll check out this video too. So now that the kernel is not relinking anymore, this runs a lot smoother. So you can see this is 720p. This is Mr. Louis Rossman, his last farewell to his apartment he lived in for 5 years in New York City because he's leaving New York City. Great guy. Check out Louis Rossman. He's a right to repair advocate. Just a really neat guy. He had a run of bad luck in New York City, but I'm glad he's leaving that place because it's not the best place in the world to live and try to run a business with the way that they run that place. But you can see here that the video performance is really nice. I'm not going to bore you with my opinions here, but so video performance is nice. Everything is snappy. So you can see right here that, and it's not overheating too much. You'll see it'll go over 65, but then it'll be, that's what the whole frequency adjustment will do. We'll adjust it down. So it's dynamic in the way that it works. It's really neat. They need to incorporate this, my personal opinion, this needs to be incorporated into OpenBSD base. This needs to be a base utility, not a third-party utility. So pretty neat stuff. So let's see, Control V, C. Okay, so yeah, so that is, we saw from us downloading the ISO and verifying it and checking it for the cryptographic signature, all the way to wiping the drive, to setting up full disk encryption, to installing the system, and then from just a base barebone install to something that's usable, that's speedy. You can see right here, I'm just jumping from tab to tab. Let's see, let me click on this real quick. You can see how social media like Mastodon, I do always advocate usage of the Fediverse. You can see how social media is nice and smooth. I'm not going to get too much into looking at my home or federated because it is federated internet, so that there's a possibility that something inappropriate could just pop up and I don't have control over it. So yeah, and you can see here how YouTube, the comment sections are loading up nice and simple, nice and good. It's usable, even though YouTube is a little bit more sluggish on here, and Nvidius is much faster. I always recommend using Nvidius if you're running something like older hardware, that if you just need a snappier form of YouTube, it runs a lot better. And I haven't tried Odyssey on here yet, but maybe I'll take a look at it. I know Odyssey's kind of sluggish. The OpenBSD frequency asks questions and stuff like that. We can check PC Man FM. And then of course the file manager, and of course let's see, the terminal. And you can see how it's a very simple system. It's very functional, very usable. And I have WXRX is not allowed system wide, so there is nothing will violate WXRX. It's not allowed. and I have JITs disabled in Chromium. Chromium is using Pledge and Avail. So overall, in all, it's a very secure system. And as I'm running the current branch, every usually once a week, or if I need to install new packages, because sometimes if you need to install new packages, they do crank like the boost and glibc very frequently. So you'll need to do sys upgrade. I think it's sys upgrade minus S. I'm not sure if I need to do the S every single time, but this command will download the latest snapshot and update it so you can keep following along with development. But all in all, the current branch is very stable. I don't ever really experience any problems with it. Occasionally performance can kind of go up and down a little bit, but for the most part it stays pretty much the same. All in all, it's a really neat system, and we can take a look at how temperature is doing again to see we're back down to 58 degrees. So you see how when you're doing more stuff with the web browser, it's going to heat up a little bit more, because a lot of things are very CPU intensive, and the CPU usage in OpenBSD, because I believe it's only single threaded, it's a little bit more than you would see in Linux. Also because there's a lot of security features are going to make it less performant or less efficient per se, but it's more secure and it's doing things that you'll probably never see done in Linux, or things that if they did do them in Linux, they would have to break a lot of backwards compatibility, like a lot of it, and piss off a lot of their vendors. OpenBSD doesn't have vendors, and they don't worry about that. They'll break off all the compatibility layers and all the old code and all the backwards compatibility their heart's desires to achieve the goal of having that very secure and very highly customized code base that is doing things in a way that they envisioned. Because the OpenBSD developers like Theodore Rat and Todd Miller and some of the other guys whose names just don't come off the top of my head, they're developing this operating system for themselves and their companies, and we as the end user, we could just take it or leave it. And you can see it's a really neat system to use. I also like using FreeBSD, and I'm currently using FreeBSD on my desktop. So I'm going to get into some content about using FreeBSD. I've gone full-time on my main production machine using FreeBSD. I do still need Linux for some things, so I have my kid's computer has a Linux install that I can use if I need to, and my ARM boards are running Linux, and they're running Armbian, and of course my PinePhone runs Arch Linux. So I'm still using Linux, but my main computers, my laptop and my desktop, they're going to be BSD for the foreseeable future. As I want to do in-depth FreeBSD content, because I like FreeBSD. I think it makes a fantastic desktop system if your hardware is supported. And not only that, FreeBSD is really has really good performance, and it's just as fast as Linux. I feel like it's kind of no different than using Linux, but of course, under the hood, it's a completely different system with different kind of values and principles and stuff like that. And just really neat to get back into the world of BSDs. So my microphone should be showing up any day now, and what we're going to do is we're going to start doing screencasting, and I want to show you in the next video how to set up local unbound. And you can see right here, man unbound, not bound. It is a little dark in here. So I'm going to be setting up the unbound DNS validating resolver for our DNS for privacy, and from that point forward, I will continue to show you all kind of, more short form content, kind of all the neat little things you can do in OpenBSD. And I also want to get into Armbian, setting up Armbian and the Armbian build system. It's something that I'm really into. I want to show you my ARM boards, my PinePhone. We're going to be doing some PinePhone content and FreeBSD content. So a lot of good content to look forward to. Don't expect a regular production schedule from me. I just kind of make these videos when I have time and when I have motivation. I'm trying to, like a YouTuber named Derek Taylor, DT DistroTube, just recently did a video about YouTube burnout, and that's exactly what I experienced kind of at the beginning of this channel. I went a little too hard there for the first 3 months of my channel, so I had to slow down a little bit. And not only that, I wanted to give myself time to get a little better at this stuff so that my content could be more useful to you. So I just needed some time to use this stuff and and to grow in my understanding of it. So that's all. I hope you learned something. Have a great day, and root BSD out.